share with the group that has gone on with them since we met last. Oh, come on. One thing I noticed is this group is an active group. People are out doing things, making things happen. So let's have.
I've got something kind of interesting.
Thank you.
I always love it when I can confuse doctors. You know, I love it when they have to say, "Oh, no." They're telling me that I need an entire rotator cuff replacement. Basically, they want to redo my entire left shoulder because I have no rotator cuff left. Yet they can't understand how 2 months ago I could do that and now I can't. They said with the condition from the MRI that we did on your rotator cuff, you shouldn't be able to move that shoulder at all. And they can't explain it.
Prayer works. I think.
So right now they're saying I'm going to go talk to a reverse shoulder expert over in Gainesville. Apparently, reverse shoulder is you have the ball in the socket, you have the socket in the ball, and kind of flip it around and move the other way.
Wow.
But the surgery itself isn't so bad, but the recovery period is kind of a pain for somebody like me. It's going to be a pain. They said they'd probably have to be in the hospital for 2 full weeks so I could actually kind of take care of myself, and then I'll be like 6 to 8 weeks over in a sling and so forth. But in the meantime, they're saying, well, since you're getting along so well the way that you're doing it, keep doing what you're doing, and a little bit of ibuprofen and daily exercise, and I'm kind of okay. They don't understand it. The only thing I can think of is that it started to hurt when I was overdoing it and then under-exercising for a while. So now I'm back to doing a little bit of exercise with it every day. It seems fun.
Wow.
It's one of those things they don't know.
And I think that we have a lot that people can learn from us too. So thank you. And I think that's one of the things. How many people have been dealing with some sort of pain recently? Wow, that's really good. Only about half of us, and normally it's much more. Okay, and so we're looking at, how we address those things, how we address those problems with. And one of the things many times we have to do is educate the people that we are going to or working with. So, and has anyone here had someone approach you that had polio or knew someone who had polio, but they didn't know what to do? Have you ever had that kind of experience? No. It's interesting. That's what happened with me recently. I was going to Pittsburgh, which was my home. People from Pennsylvania may be streaming in, tuning in. So to all those who are streaming and viewing us, hello, and welcome to the Atlanta Post-Polio Association. And when I was in Pittsburgh, I met a young man. He's a little bit younger than me. And he didn't have access. And I was really surprised because Pittsburgh was a home where Dr. Salk did a lot of his work at the University of Pittsburgh. And I found that there wasn't really a lot of activity or support for people in the Pittsburgh area. I was really surprised. But just recently, several of us had been talking about the Pennsylvania Polio Survivors Network, which was doing some really, really good things in the Pennsylvania area, mainly out of Philadelphia area, but they also had an arm in Pittsburgh, and so, or the Western Pennsylvania area, I should say. And what they had done is they have developed a conference for people across the state using the library system to support and hold meetings, so that they would have a meeting like we're having, but anyone in the state could attend if they had access and work through that library. So I talked to this young man. I read a news article, and I'm going to send it around and share it with you. But I read a news article while I was in Pittsburgh that the friend that I was visiting had saved for me. And I said that I was going to share it with you all. I didn't make a lot of copies, but I'm going to send it to you in a link. but it was polio's painful aftermath. Group reaches out with information and support for survivors as they age. And I called the woman who was the reporter, and I said, I met somebody here who needs some help, and you mentioned several people here. Can you give me access to those people? And she did. I ended up calling another Joe, who's in Western Pennsylvania, and I also talked to another Carol in Eastern Pennsylvania. And we had conversation, and we were, one, able to get a doctor who could help this young man whose doctor had left and gone to Dubai. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. But to me, that's exciting when we can be of help to people like that. So this woman is a Rotarian in the area outside of Philadelphia. I talked to her about Barbara, and Barbara's going to, for those of you that don't know Barbara, raise your hand. And she's going to be speaking at a Rotarian meeting, and I'm connecting the two of them together to talk about this. The other thing that I found out that was really unique, and that I was, it's just, there are no accidents, you know, when you hear that. The librarian that's helping her is from Atlanta. How about that? Yeah. And so we're going to make connections to see what we do, what we can do. They actually get transportation. They coordinated transportation to the library meetings, and they're doing a number of things that I think are very innovative. We have decided that there are some things that we can do together and partner together. So we're really, really interested in seeing how we can work together. But this article was very good. It's timely. I know that Rita's been working on a number of things to try to get this information out. I've given some information to Faye, and I have some for Nancy. I gave you some brochures. We have some visitors here today. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves and give you some brochures, because one of the things that we've done is that we've given everybody brochures, because we found that we had to educate not only, but we have a world out there to educate that don't understand about polio survivors and post-polio syndrome. So that's kind of where we are. I just wanted to kind of take a minute to share that with you. I think it's exciting. We'll be working on this for the new year, and some steps that we'll take in the new year to see what we can coordinate and what we can do, especially because we know we have a lot of members who are not able to get in close to us. And we know folks like Ivy, who comes 2 hours away to a meeting whenever he can get here, and there are others that are in that same situation. So it's exciting that we look at other ways that we can help ourselves and help others. One more thing. The other thing that they're doing with Pennsylvania that I think is unique, and we're going to take a look at it too. I've talked to Barbara a little bit about this, is there is a need. There are a group of parents who still feel that they don't want their children vaccinated. And they don't understand the effects of not vaccinating and your child getting polio. So they are really working with the health community, and they put together packages of information from the doctors that they can give, and they're giving packages out to parents and having connections with health facilities to inform people in the community too, as a service of the Pennsylvania Polio Survivors Network. So there's just some really interesting things that they're doing, I think, that we can do, that we can share with them, and that kind of thing. So thank you for that. Any questions? Yes?
That polio vaccine now, is it still just a sugar cube?
No, it's the shot.
Because I know
The United States went back to the shot about 20 years ago, I think.
Because I know some people that are against it because they read all the stuff on the internet about how there's mercury in it and stuff like that. that they mix the bad stuff in with the vaccine for whatever purpose, and that's why they don't vaccinate.
They need to talk to their physician or healthcare
Well,
provider.
then they, yeah, I mean, they find enough physicians that are also reading the same stuff now, so.
Well, a lot of that is false.
That's what I understand.
The original study that equated vaccinations to autism
Right.
was an invalid study by a physician in England. His paper was subsequently rescinded, and he's no longer able to practice medicine in England. But that study came out decades ago, and yet that's what people are still talking about.
Yeah, this whole support group.
Originally, vaccines had mercury in it. It's my understanding that hasn't been the case for a long, long time. So inaccurate information is out there. People need to talk to their healthcare provider.
Talk to their healthcare providers. As Barbara said, the other thing is we need to educate ourselves and be aware of what's correct and what's not. So thank you. Okay, I wanted to let you know also that we are going to get ready for Georgia Gives, which is our giving fundraising activity for the year, the major one that we have been involved in. It's going to be really simple, people, really, really simple, because you just have a link to go to, or you can go to the website that says Georgia Gives. I want you to see what we did last year, and I also want to take a minute to ask you, if somebody asks you involved, or what you want to know, or what it means to you to be a part of APA, I want you to just think about that for a second. And I'm just going to bring this up on the website.
Can those front lights be turned off? Those big ones? Okay, that's good.
Okay, this year, the Georgia Gives is going to merge with Giving Tuesday. And Giving Tuesday is a national and an international activity where volunteers, and it's a massive fundraising effort that happens in 24 hours. Actually, it goes on more than that, but the main emphasis is on that day. The Georgia Gives now joins force with the Giving Tuesday, and this is their new logo that you'll see here. So, can you see that?
No, that's kind of weird.
See, I don't know why that's that light is on that like that. I'm going to show you another. Well, it says 2 great causes, 1 great mission. Georgia Gives joins forces with Giving Tuesday. And then it shows you, show your love on November 28th, 2017. And so that's the new logos that you will see with Georgia Gives. And I want you to see our page. There are actually 2 organizations that are in here for polio. APA, as you can see up there, and then this was 2 years ago that they did the Rotary Club in Columbus. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. See, thank you. Allison's the only one who told me I can't hear you. Okay, you'll see 2 groups here, APA being one, and the Rotary group in Columbia being the other one. That was 2 years ago. This was us for last year.
Where is that Rotary group?
In Columbus.
Oh.
And as you'll see here, you can see how you make donations. We're going to update that for this year. Okay, this is our webpage. Remember last year we had just started, got our brochure together, which some of you see before you, and that little girl in the picture is Barbara. She was a poster child. We have 4 people who were poster children in our group. And information about it, and then you can see where people join or people donate. Those donations are posted, and then you'll see things like messages on there. So this is from last year. But you see we're going to update that and raise that. Now here's what's key. For this to work, you have to share this with your network of family and friends. But how do you do that? So can somebody tell me how you would share this with your family and friends?
Facebook.
Yeah.
Twitter.
Yeah. Yes, what you have to do, we're going to have this on our Facebook page, on our website. You can refer people to those areas, and we want you to share it with your families, friends, your businesses, people that work with you, your doctors, anyone that you feel, people you buy your shoes from, anyone can support us, and any donation is welcome. Okay, so we're going to keep it very simple this year. We're going to grow this as we get bigger, but can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
What day is it, Carol? Would you take this, please?
Only because we have to be able to hear you for the.
I just wanted to know what day it was going to be on. I know it's going to be on a Tuesday, but what's the date? November 28th. And then you can also share, if you go to this page, via these links,
Yes.
LinkedIn, Google, all that.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so that day of giving again is November 28th, but you can actually go in anytime and give. November the 28th is the big, massive, day where it's just the big push in the 124-hour period. Okay? Okay, like what I'd like you to do for the next minute is to just jot down, if you don't have a piece of paper in front of you, I'd like you to jot down what would you say to someone in 30 seconds, 60 to 30 seconds. What would you say to someone about Georgia Gives and APA? So can we have the lights back up, please? Thank you. Just take a second and just jot down on a piece of paper. Piece of paper. What would you say to someone about Georgia Gives?
Is the money
From
raised,
your perspective,
is that for APA or that's for Georgia Gives altogether? I mean, that goes for pool.
No, I don't.
it's for APA through Georgia Gives. Yes, it's thousands and thousands of nonprofit organizations
Right.
that are coming together. And this is one way that is a public community service to the nonprofit.
To do the fundraising for all these other nonprofits. I see.
That's done all over the world. So It could be for pets, it could be for, animals.
Yeah, I've been hearing about it.
Yes, and there's more information on the website. I'm just not going over this because of that, I've got the time, but I want to make sure I answer your questions. So what I need is for you to just jot down, what would you say to someone? Just take a minute or two to think of that. If you haven't finished, it's okay. I just want you to turn to somebody next to you, turn to that person, and I want you to give them your 30-second speech. Why? So you got two here, two. Rita, can I ask you to go here? For those two right here, Nancy, can I ask you to go here? Two, and I ask you two. Switch.
I just said, I have to raise this money to Georgia kids, like, donations.
I appreciate it. You have. But okay, how did that feel?
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks, the idea is to get more comfortable with that. Now what I want each of you to do is something that we have not done before. I'm going to ask you at the end of our program, I want you to take your cell phones and give your message to your video on your smartphones. And we are going to take those videos and use them for our new APA. So that when people go online, they go on our Facebook or they go on our pages, they'll hear you say, I believe in APA because, or I support APA because. And so this is our small message to people to say, thank you. And don't worry well, this is going to be very informal, very 30-second, probably maybe 15 seconds, whatever it is. But why you feel that APA is a good place to donate and how APA has been helpful to you or what you found out from that. Does that make sense? See what I'm saying? Okay. So, but we need everybody's support in doing this.
30
okay?
seconds. Let's 30 seconds.
Yes, 30 seconds or less, I'd say. Okay. Everybody may be in it. Some people may not be in it. We're just going to try to do as many as we can and get them up and put them on, and just very quick, because people don't want to listen to a lot. And so if we're 30 seconds and you're just saying, I'm Carol Crumby and I believe in giving to the Atlanta Post-Polio Association because it's been extremely helpful to me. That's where I found doctors and connected with people who are very, very helpful to me. I've expanded my sphere of friends who can relate to me, and I've been able to help others. So I would ask you to give to Georgia Gibbs Day for the Atlanta Post-Polio Association. Thank you.
So that's what we're looking for, or whatever it means to you personally, okay?
Whatever it means to you personally.
Okay, I'm going to stop now.
I am going to have Rita come up as our program director.
Oops.
And first VP APA, and introduce our guest speaker to you today.
Thank you so much, Carol. My name is Rita Carlson, and I help do the programs. And I was pleased that my speaker today, Lotus Riche, is going to be telling us, she's a certified active awareness trainer, and she was trained by the Department of Defense while she was in Japan. She, of course, has a military background, and she's working towards her doctor of philosophy. She has a business degree, master's of business, and she has a bachelor of science. She's a facilitator and trainer, and she's adept at community outreach and crisis intervention, and she's bilingual in Spanish. So thank you so much, and we look forward to having you because of the awareness of our program in regards to society currently. So anyway, Lotus, if you...
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for having me here today. I just want to share with you that along with all the wonderful things that she said, I really just want you to be comfortable. It's really not about accolades or how many degrees a person has. It's about the experiences that we have in life. And what I want to share with you are some of my experiences, okay, to help you understand what being safe is all about. So what I'm going to do, because I met a wonderful person named Thaddeus, I'm going to give this to Mr. Thaddeus and ask him to go ahead and pass these along, okay? And while he's doing that, I'd like you to just take it and lay it face down while we're getting all of our networking concerns together. Now, does anybody know why we're here today? Yep. Anybody? All right. Does anybody know why we're here today? All right. Fantastic. Since you raised your hand first, can you tell me why you think we're here today?
To learn how to prepare for an active shooter type situation.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm a very interactive presenter. Okay, so you'll probably see me high-fiving you and moving around and things like that, okay? So that's right, we are here to talk about active shooter. And what I want to share with you, and you're going to see the little picture of me up there later, but I want to ask all of you, does anybody here know a person that has been a part of an active shooter occurrence? Anybody?
Friend of a friend.
A friend of a friend. And how did that impact you?
Scared.
Scared you. Scared her. What's your name again?
Barbara.
Barbara. How many people know Barbara? Who thinks Barbara's pretty awesome?
Yes.
Could you imagine Barbara ever being afraid? Oh, somebody said, who said that? Who said that? You couldn't imagine her being afraid.
No, because she just appears strong. But I understand being afraid.
Okay. So she appears strong. And she says that she understands her being afraid. Well, you don't see it up there yet, but you're going to see it soon. Things like this, and if you would, go ahead and let's play it. Make it full screen. Things like this in Las Vegas that recently happened make us afraid. They make us afraid to get in the elevator with somebody. Like Mr. Thaddeus and I rode up on the elevator today. I found out his birthday is September 14th, no, 13th. And he found out my birthday is September 4th. But when you're afraid of people, you're afraid to engage with them. You're afraid to say hello. That's a picture of me, since that's up there. I'm gonna go ahead and elaborate on it. Those are my two great niece and my great nephew. Okay, and can you imagine if my great niece and my great nephew were over there at that function, at the concert? So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and try to get this going for you. And if we can't, what we're going to do is go ahead and move it on over. Here we go. Let's see if we can take this full screen. Let's see here. Right. Yes. Yes, I went down to get it full screen, but it didn't want to work right. All right, it's okay. Let's see. The IT person is here. Everybody give her a hand clap. She's gonna save the day. See, now we put pressure on you. Yeah. Let's see if we can get it full screen. I'm sorry. I hit that earlier to see if it goes full screen.
You can do it.
So, of course, we know that she's going to get it going for us. There I am again. But while she's getting that going, let's talk about Las Vegas. Because really, this is not anything that hasn't happened in other places. And what I'm talking about is mass shootings, okay? Columbine. Actually, we've seen something right here in Atlanta most recently. Anybody know what it is? Yes.
School shooting. School shooting.
Yes.
In Atlanta. What happened recently in Atlanta?
You can't hear her.
Sorry again? I just thought you asked.
No problem. Say again. We had a university shooting, right?
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech. And I saw you were pointing to something.
I'm telling her.
Oh, have a seat right here. Okay. So Georgia Tech recently, they had a serious mass shooting there. Could anybody believe that Georgia Tech would have a mass shooting?
Any crowds or targets for somebody who wants to hit. Yeah.
So she said, did everybody hear what she said? You didn't hear what she said. Let me give her the mic, because I want to make sure everybody hears this.
Any crowd, places where there's a lot of people together, or a target for anybody who wants to do this.
That's correct. I think she was looking at my video up here. So I don't know how she knew that, but she's right. Crowd, any place, anywhere, anytime can be a place for active shooting. So I'm going to let you hold that. And we're going to keep moving. So what I want to share with you, I asked Barbara, correct? Earlier, about how she felt about knowing someone who's been a part of an active shooter, okay? And let me get your name. Your name is? Allie. Hi, Allie. Don't be afraid to shake my hand. Lotus, nice to meet you. It's so good to meet you. Guess what, Allie? Now you know someone who's been a part of an active shooter event. Yeah, that was me. Back in 1999 in Columbia, South Carolina, you'll see a picture of me later with my security hat on, my security top on. I was moonlighting at a place in the evening doing private security. We had a gentleman come through the door, and I was the head of security at the time, and I had left one of my other officers at the door to take care of things while I went in to take care of something else, and this was a nightclub. So I go in, I'm an electrician by trade, so I go in and fix the light where we had the problem. And he comes up to me and he says, Riche is my last name. He says to me, we've got the
this problem at the door. I need you to come to the door and take care of this guy. He's totally going off. So I says, okay. I go to the door, and mind you, it's crowded, the music's blaring, all that. And the gentleman wants to come in, and he says that he knows the club owner. We couldn't validate that. Because we couldn't validate that, what we did was ask him, could you please pay, sir? And when the owner comes, when she comes, we will reimburse your money with that work. He said, what do you think he said? I can't hear you. What do you think he said? No. That's right. He said no. He wanted in or else. So what he did was he took his hand and bam, he hit my hand because I had my hand like this, trying to guide him, trying to show him, wait a minute. So as soon as my other officers saw that, they grabbed him, they rushed him and got him out of the club. And of course, a fight ensued. After the fight ensued, it was on them. Pretty much like this. Let's go ahead and play it. This is the chaos similar to what I witnessed. And if you look right down at the lower right of my, yes, I turned my sound down. If you would turn my sound up. Isn't it amazing?
Today, a new look at the crime scene and a timeline of the bloodshed. 10:05 p.m. From his deadly perch, Stephen Patton unleashes a pyramid gunfight. 10:15, shots are over when panic overwhelms the streets and first responders.
It was just mass chaos. There was victims who were rolling up to us in trucks, in the bed of the trucks just loaded up.
10:18, Patton fires 200 rounds at a security guard who approaches his room. Shot in the leg, the guard still leads police to the scene. At 11:20, they find Paddock dead.
He meticulously planned on the worst domestic attack in United States history.
Investigators discovered Paddock's car, loaded with 1,600 rounds of ammunition and 50 pounds of explosives. Tonight, investigators question, did he have an escape plan? Possibly help.
You gotta make the assumption he had to have some help at some point.
In these harrowing moments after the massacre, Raymond Page began loading the wounded into his truck. He rescued at least half a dozen. But 4 days after the massacre, did they survive? Tonight, there's so much uncertainty and pain. Miguel Allen here, NBC News, Las Vegas.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out. How are you?
We're going to stop it right there. Can you share with me, sir, what in your mind stood out from that video? James going to take a minute to think.
The shooting, one thing that stuck out, many things that stuck out in my mind, among them were the rat-tat-tat-tat of the gun and people rushing about very much afraid for their lives. And I just don't see that often. And as a matter of fact, I have a lot of fatigue in this playing over and over and over again, and you can't stop watching it. But that's what's happening.
Thanks, James. And you sound like me, and you can hold on to that for a couple minutes. I don't even watch it. The only reason I watched it was to put it on here for all of you. I don't watch it because I suffered PTSD for a long time because I've been a part of an active shooter incident. And once it happens to you, it's like something that you never forget. And we're going to go to the next slide, if you would. So I asked you earlier, do you know someone who has been in an active shooter attack? So I'm going to ask you again. Do you know someone who's been in an active shooter attack?
You,
That's right, me.
before you know.
Before me, no. So click on it if you would, and let's click on the sound.
Jessica, the shooting started after a fight that witnesses say was gang-related. It was pushed into the parking lot. That's where police say 25-year-old Larry Valadez pulled out a gun and squeezed the trigger a dozen times.
Now, it wasn't gang-related. That wasn't even the person. But that's what it sounded like coming across the news when my family sat at home, hearing this, knowing that I was there. It was horrific. It was one of the worst things that I'd ever seen. Guys that were on my security team, 6'1", under pool tables hiding because they were afraid. I hid out in the bathroom. One of the patrons was in there, and I was in shock. I was shaking. And she kept saying to me, Shay, help me hold the door, help me hold the door. I couldn't even hear her saying that to me. All I heard was what Mr. James talked about, the rat-a-tat-tat, the rat-a-tat-tat, the rat-a-tat-tat. So I could hear until I was able to gather myself again. And then she looked at me and she said, are you hit? I didn't know. So I started feeling myself. And I said, I don't think so. But there was blood all over my shoes. Because when I came around the bar to go to the back as the manager was screaming, get everybody in, everybody get down. When I ran around the bar, I fell. And the lady that was sitting right here got the bullet that could have gotten me, or that was probably meant for me. But instead of the bullet, I got the blood of that person on my shoes. And yes, she did survive. But after all of that was over, I had to tell everybody, get up, call 911, you do this, you do that. I'm paramilitary, okay? I'm used to telling people, let's go, let's move, we can't lay down, we gotta get up, we gotta press home. And then they said, Riche, we need you in the kitchen. I'm just gonna say Ivan, not to use his real name. He's been shot. So I try to hop over the bar, I can't get over the bar. So I go around to get in the door. I'm in the door, there's blood everywhere, and I'm slipping and I'm falling, but I make it to Ivan. He's been shot in the face. So I run back into the kitchen because you know most nightclubs, they cook, you know, chicken wings and French fries and all that kind of stuff. So I run back and I get a towel and I wrap it around this man's face to keep the blood from gushing out. And he survived. The lady that got the bullet where I fell survived. The other lady that was shot down in the lower portion of the club, she survived. But the one person that went to take our employee that was just getting off work home, the innocent bystander that had just came back just to have a drink before going home, was shot. Fatally so. And then I had to go up to the hospital and find out, because the police had a picture and they said, do you know this man? And I did. But what I didn't know was that the store that I managed, the automotive store, this guy used to come in every day and buy parts from me, and we laugh and we joke.
The shooter, that victim.
No, just a person I knew. Guess who he was? This guy that used to buy parts from me all the time, that I saw every day, that helped to pay my paycheck, he was the victim's brother. And just like Mr. James talked about seeing this over and over and over again, it's disturbing. And every year I get a piece of paper in the mail. This person is coming up for parole. So I wanted to share that with you because I want to tell you, I can identify with Mr. James and how he feels. It is daunting. It is frustrating. But you don't have to be afraid. But you do have to be prepared. And in this workshop, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the active shooter profile because earlier we asked, who could be an active shooter? Anybody could, okay? We're going to review some active shooter events, and we just reviewed one. Well, actually, we just reviewed two. Then we're also going to talk about recognizing the out theory, how to get out safely, and identifying areas possessing a 911 alarm, a panic alarm, okay? At this location and other locations, because that's going to be one of your homework assignments. I want you to find out where are the 911 alarms. We want to help you make a viable plan to get out if you can. And if you can't, we're going to help you defend in place. Okay? So if you would, play the video, Run, Hide, Fight, Surviving an Active Shooter Attack.
It may feel like just another day at the office, but occasionally,
Can you make it louder?
or like an action movie, than reality. The authorities are working hard to protect you and to protect our public spaces.
For some reason, it's not going up louder.
But sometimes bad people do bad things. Their motivations are different. The warning signs may vary.
Okay, good.
But the devastating effects are the same. And unfortunately, you need to be prepared for the worst.
Is that any louder for you all? Okay. Was it better the other way?
Yeah.
Okay. This is that volume capacity I sprayed. I know that.
If you were ever to find yourself in the middle of an active shooter event, your survival may depend on whether or not you have a plan. The plan.
If you would, bear with us for a minute. We're going to try to make this a little easier for you. I'm going to have her click out, go down to my volume, and try to turn my volume on my laptop up as far as it can go.
Where's the volume on the projector?
Exactly. Okay, right down to the bottom.
Did I understand you to say earlier that when you're in a public setting, say like this?
Did I understand you earlier to say when you're in a public setting like this building, that there are panic buttons? I didn't know that.
Public buildings, see, she's been looking at my PowerPoint. Public buildings, even hotels, they have panic buttons. And I don't want to jump too far ahead because I'm going to share something with you as we close that many of you may not know. I didn't even know until I did some further research. I've been living in Japan for the past 3 years, so we don't see too many active shooters. But when I worked here in the United States, you see it often. And we really have a lot of things at our disposal, and some of the things we don't even know about, and they're right around us. Like closed doors, just like the door in the back. Unless there's a sign above it that kind of illustrates what it is, you would know. And I'm going to share that with you today, so you can know.
We're gonna try to get the video going on YouTube and
Okay,
hope that
that'll be fine.
the volume a little bit louder. Thank you for your
That's
patience.
fine. So while they're getting this video going, you just saw a gentleman with, what is that, an AK, guys? Anybody past military? Whatever he's shooting, that's right. Did anybody notice what he was wearing though? No, the other gentleman. He had on tan shorts. Did you notice that guy? The guy that's walking in with the gun. When we talk about who could be an active shooter, it was just on one of the videos that she flashed.
I saw it.
You saw it. So let me ask you something. Would any of you think that an active shooter would be wearing little cutoff shorts and bobby socks and just a plain old t-shirt, looking just as cool as he wanted to look? Would any of you think that that would be the profile of an active shooter? No? Ash, what would you?
I would think somebody would want to look tough and menacing, and that person.
So the average person would think that, like Belinda said, that the shooter would look menacing, tough. They're coming, they're gonna do some business, right? They came for business. But is that really the profile of a shooter? Who could be a shooter again? Anybody could be a shooter, and they could be dressed any way. So that means we have to be vigilant. Just think that just because they have on shorts, that they're not a threat. So let's try to revisit this video again on run, hide, and fight. Is that better?
It may feel like just another day at the
Awesome.
office. But occasionally, life feels more like an action movie than reality. The authorities are working hard to protect you and to protect our public spaces. But sometimes bad people do bad things. Their motivations are different. The warning signs may vary, but the
Now that's the
devastating
tough-looking guy right there.
And unfortunately, you need to be prepared for the worst. If you were ever to find yourself in the middle of an active shooter event, your survival may depend on whether or not you have a plan. The plan doesn't have to be complicated. There are 3 things you could do that make a difference. Run, hide, fight. First and foremost, if you can get out, do. Always try and escape or evacuate, even when others insist on staying. Encourage others to leave with you, but don't let them slow you down with indecision. Remember what's important, you, not your stuff. Leave your belongings behind and try to find a way to get out safely. Trying to get yourself out of harm's way needs to be your #1 priority. Once you're out of the line of fire, try to prevent others from walking into the danger zone and call 911.
In the last 45 minutes, we wrapped up an interview.
Run, fight.
We talked about a number of things, but first and foremost,
What would you do? Now, a lot of us in here are not going to be able to run. In certain rooms like this, we're not going to be able to hide. Some of us will have to fight in place, right? Some of us can't move forward the way that they did, okay? And that is who is an active shooter. We can actually go past that. We talked about where these occurrences would happen. Bethel AME Church, anybody ever heard of that church? One of my close friends, she's a chaplain in the military, Navy, when I worked for the Department of Defense the past 3 years. She actually left and went there because she was a part of that AME family. And it definitely devastated the family members of who was hurt, who was killed. So again, I know someone from personal experience. And I brought this back up for this reason. All of you have thought it or said it. It can happen anywhere. Churches, religious setting, daycare, schools, colleges, universities, government buildings, hospitals, anywhere there are people, it can happen. So that's why we have to be vigilant. Okay, so let's go on to the other one. On the very bottom of that slide that we just passed, it said manufacturing plants, but I didn't put post office, right? Because we use that term, right? What's the term that we use, Ms. Pat?
She had help. She had help.
And that's one of the things too I meant to tell you up front. You can use a lifeline. If I come to you, you can say lifeline, but you got to call the person's name. Okay? Call the person's name. So what I want to do is I want to talk about what some of our leaders are saying. Okay? So let's go ahead and bring up Mr. Kasim Reed. And if you look at the bottom, right there in the middle, that's right. Okay? You can X out of that one. This is what our mayor is saying here in Atlanta about focusing on some of the threats that's going on. Yep, just click the X.
Church says, and you can keep his congregation pace, but it's a delicate balance.
Okay. I think that's okay. No problem.
You know, and when the church becomes a fortress.
Well, we've got several videos up there. We're going to that one next. What our leaders are saying is that we need to be patient. We need to be vigilant. Well, let me tell you something. I'm tired of being patient. Anybody else tired of being patient?
How long is long enough to be patient?
Well, you know what? I hear you talking, but I don't think everyone.
How long is long enough to be patient?
How long is long enough to be patient?
I think we can't be sidetracked and not go against the mayor because I do understand his philosophy. But we can't stand by and continue to be patient and think that it's going to go away. Anybody think it's going to go away? No? Mr. Joe, question for you. Do you think it's going to go away?
Oh, no, it's going to get worse. I'll tell you why.
Could you say that again?
It's going to get worse, and I'll tell you why. Because we give it all this attention. It's on the news. So anybody that's a little bit out there is saying, hey, I could do that.
Did everybody hear what Mr. Joe said? Everybody's saying, hey, I could do that. Mr. James said the anxiety of it all. Is that the word you use, sir? Is that the word? Give me your word.
Fatigue.
Your peers, remember, the fatigue of it all. Gives you a headache every day. Just stressed out, scared to go out to my car, scared to go to the store, scared to get on the elevator with Mr. Thaddeus, because he might run my toes over. Right? We're just scared, we're just fatigued because we know what Mr. Joe said is correct. Because people begin to have this thought process that I can do that too for my 10 to 15 minutes of fame. Because as we'll go on, you'll see where we know that most active shooters usually last between 10 and 15 minutes. It's usually over before the police ever arrive. Would anybody agree with me? Agree. Okay, how we looking, ladies? Okay, let's go ahead and play it. This is what the mayor is saying. He had a meeting the other day, and they talked to him briefly about the Los Angeles shooting, or Las Vegas shooting, pardon me. Okay, and it's stalling just a little bit, that's okay.
Atlanta's mayor says he is taking the necessary steps to keep citizens safe after that deadly shooting in Las Vegas.
Tell Tuesday Huddleston is playing the prior major event that had already moved Mayor Casey Reed to take action.
In the last 45 minutes, we wrapped up an interview here at City Hall with Mayor Casey Reed. We talked about a number of things, but first and foremost, the situation in Las Vegas, Nevada. The mayor sending his condolences to the victims of that mass shooting. We also brought it back closer to home. What he and Police Chief Erica Shields have talked about and keeping people safe here and mass events like the Peach Drum. Yeah, Music Midtown, or the 4th of July activities at Centennial Olympic Park. Here's what the mayor had to say.
The job of mayor has changed forever. It's the reason why we doubled the size of SWAT, increased the long rifle capability. It's the reason why if you travel to Hartsville, Jackson right now, guns aren't in lockers. They're actually on officers patrolling the facility. Candidly, the events that happen in Las Vegas can happen anywhere in the United States of America, and the only thing you can do right now is to mount a robust level of protection that is prepared to protect and then respond in a decisive fashion.
The mayor has been talking about keeping people safe and security since the Paris attacks from a couple of years ago. He also talked about the video integration system where the city of Atlanta now has access to 10,000 cameras where police officers can monitor the streets of Atlanta, trying to, of course, thwart off any activity before it starts or right after it starts. He says he will have much more to say with the police chief about what they're planning to do to move forward, keeping the citizens safe here in Atlanta. I'll have that coming up on Channel 2 Action News beginning at 4. Reporting from downtown at Atlanta City Hall.
Yes, ma'am.
Channel 2 Action News.
But none of what he said could have prevented what happened in Las Vegas.
But we've got all these cameras here, and I'm sure in Las Vegas. But I'm hearing you
But
say.
he was up on the 32nd floor.
Right.
He was at
He
the
was
event at all.
just an average looking guy.
He wasn't at the event. He was.
Right.
So that means that the threat can come from anywhere. He was just an average looking guy. He didn't appear as a threat, so nobody even probably paid him any attention. That's a valid point. Anybody understand what she's saying? Right. So how do we prevent that from happening again? Mr. Joe said, what? So if it's going to keep happening again, that means we have got to be prepared. We are people who have some physical challenges. So because we have some physical challenges, sometimes we have to do a little more than the next person to make ourselves, able to get out. Because just because we have some challenges, we don't have to be a victim. It's right down at the bottom left. So I'm going to have them come out of the PowerPoint. And it was down at the bottom left. It is okay, that's not a problem. But on the PowerPoint itself, the address, yeah, see, they're awesome. So I want to show you that because we don't have to be victims, okay? Okay, that's great. And there we go. Each person in this video is physically challenged. So you don't have to stay afraid. This guy's amazing.
Let's hear it for him.
I was totally blown away when I saw that. I practiced martial arts for quite a long time. And sometimes when we have active shooter situations, we don't realize that, you know, there are a bunch of things that we can do, even if we are in a wheelchair, if we're on a walker. I was on a walker for a number of months because I have lower L4, L5 disc degenerative disease. Before I came back from Japan last year, I was on a cane for 4 months. And when I saw this video, I was like, wow, maybe I need to get my cane. I can do some stuff. Imagine what I could do with my walker if I'm trained properly. So I invite you, remember that if you want to get this type of training, you can get that type of training as well. And if you don't want to get that training, there are some tactics that you can use right from your seat. And I'm going to take this seat right here, and I'm going to show you a typical tactic that if we had to defend in place, this is a typical tactic we can use. And we have a video on there that's going to show us some stuff as well. But if someone came up to you in a situation where there's an active shooter, 9 times out of 10, if they see us on my walker or on my cane or someone in a wheelchair, they're not going to be thinking that we're going to retaliate. They're not going to think that. They're going to think that we're going to sit there and we're going to take it. Well, I'm not. Because I'm going to use everything that I got. You saw the video. I like, no offense, gentlemen, but I like the groin kick. How many think you can kick somebody in the groin? Yeah, and it works for men and women. Somebody said hard. Oh, hard. And that's true. You got to kick hard. You got to kick like you want to survive. You could use your head. If someone came in front of you, you could headbutt them right in the stomach. If you headbutt someone like that, you would knock the wind out of them because they wouldn't be expecting that. They might throw up all over you, but you would have a chance to put some distance between them and you. You've got to strike and move. You can't stand there. And for some of us, we may not realize the threat is happening soon enough, and we may not be able to get out of harm's way. So then we got to do this. We got to hide. Now, many of you will probably be able to leave the room before I will. You think, anybody think that you wouldn't? Because I see some perplexed looks. I'm going to say it again. Many of you will probably be able to leave the room before I do. Because if I don't wear this hearing aid, I might not be able to hear the threat coming. Why we would have to work together as a team so that we could all have the opportunity to make it out. Because some challenges that we have are not totally visible. How many of you knew I had a hearing aid in my ear? How many of you knew that I had this degenerative disease? My little fancy shoes didn't give it away, huh? I just bought these shoes like 2 days ago. And a lady right here in the hospital was kind of telling me about it. I'm kind of short without these shoes on. Let me put my shoe back. It makes it easier for me to get up under the table. But because we cannot always see the disability of a person, doesn't mean that they're going to get out faster than us, or they're going to be better at it than us. You can be good just as you are if you want to learn some interesting tactics. Mr. Thaddeus and I rode up on the elevator today, and I know I said earlier, you know, I had to worry if he was going to run over my feet. That's what you can use. You can use that. You can run into somebody, you can ram into somebody with your wheelchair if you're in a wheelchair. You can take that cane and you can hit that person if you have to, if you're on a cane. If you're on 2 canes, you can beat the crap out of them. If you're on a walker like I was, you can still hurt them. I'm going straight for the groin area. I hope no children are watching this, but I'm going straight for the groin area. I'm going to do whatever it takes to protect my life and to protect other people's lives that are with me. So I'm going to ask each and every one of you to pick up the sheet that I gave you, okay? Pick up the sheet that I gave you. This is the defend in place. Okay? Before we go to this video right here, the defend in place says, number 1, I'll read that. Secure the door with a lock. So if you can secure that door with a lock, you need to lock that door when?
I can't hear you.
You need to lock the door when? Immediately. Okay, let me say this. How we're responding? Immediately. Skip on over there and lock that door. How are we going to lock that door?
Immediately.
That's right, immediately. We're going to lock that door immediately because time is of the essence. We have to be like a Timex watch. I'm going to tell my age right here. You got to take a licking and keep on.
I work in healthcare.
That's what I'm saying. You got to take a licking and keep on ticking. But what keeps happening? Time is ticking. So we've got to lock that door. That's what I'm talking about, immediately. The next one, I'm going to ask Miss Carol to read the second one.
Barricade the door.
We're going to barricade the door. So if we're going to barricade the door, Miss Rita, what can we use to barricade the door? Just look around here. What do we have?
Outside. Or
We're going to get to that.
But these doors are open to the outside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
And there's 6 of them.
and there's 6 of them. So, this is my question. Because I come up here all the time. I know when these doors are open and they're closed. I know how to lock them. I usually carry the key in my back pocket to lock the door. It'd be a good strategy that you know that the door is locked from the outside. You can block the doors, but also you can see if you can check out a key and lock these doors and have this door to get out. Because guess what? If you come over to this door and you're in here, you can get out, but they can't get in. Make sense? You can get out, but they can't get in. It's on the outside. It's a key lock. You can get out, but they can't get in. At 110, you lock that door, or you call security, come up here and lock this door. Because you can get out, but they can't get in.
So does that mean anytime we're in an area where change is a different area, we need to check out our entrances and exits to the room in the building?
Exactly. You want to check out your entrances, you want to check out your exits, because you want to make sure that the exit works. What if it says exit and you go to open that door and that door won't come open? And you are in a state of emergency. Mr. Thaddeus, what would you do if you got to the exit door? It says it red letters. You're getting there, you're getting there, you're getting there, and you get there and the door won't open.
Try another one.
Say that again?
You have to try another one.
Got to try another one. Got to try another one. I don't want to try another door. Because you know what, sir? When I get to the door to get out, to save my life, to take you guys with me, I want the door to work. I don't want to speculate. I want it to work. So, maybe what should I do?
Try it out before the emergency.
Can you say that again?
Try this out before the emergency happens.
Did everybody hear what he said?
Yes.
Try it out before the emergency happens.
Wait a second.
Try it out before the emergency happens.
Wait a second.
Try it out before.
Try it out before time. Try it out before the emergency happens. I like the way you said it. Miss Charlotte, correct? Try it out before time is what she said. Because we spoke a moment ago when I said time just keeps on ticking. And what we don't have in a state of emergency, Mr. Jack, is what? We don't have time like that. You know that song, Time is on my side. Yes, it is. You ever heard that song? I think Miss Charlotte don't think that in the state of emergency. What do you think? There you go. You got to be ready. So if we're defending in place and we're trying to go somewhere, we want to know that the exits are viable, that they're going to work for us. If we can't get out, we got to defend in place in a perfect situation where the door is locked from the inside, or we've got them already locked, and we got lock them and come in. Oh, you can't get in, you can't get me. What else do we want to do? Turn off the lights. She didn't even look at the page. She didn't look at the page. I told you she looked at my PowerPoint. I told you. The next thing, Miss Nancy, what's the next thing, number 4?
Silence cell phone.
We want to silence the cell phone. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, we're coming right to this side, Miss Pat, number 5. Get out of the funnel. Can I get another? That's what I'm talking about. Get out of the fatal funnel. Get out of the line of fire. Get up under a table if you have to. Get back and lay down in them chairs where no one can see you. Okay? Mr. Thaddeus, my Virgo buddy. Number 6, please. Find a weapon. What? See, he's been watching my PowerPoint. I didn't even ask him, but that's what was my next question. What could be a weapon? Mr. Thaddeus said what? A fire extinguisher. What else could be a weapon? A chair. What else could be a weapon? A purse, that's correct. And some of us carry the kitchen sink in the purse, I know. Trust me, because I do. And be like, who? How many people you got in your purse? I'm just traveling with folks that I like a lot. So anything could be a weapon. If you pick that plastic garbage can up and you pounded someone in the head, they wouldn't be expecting it. Do you think it would stun them just a little bit? I think so. So let's talk about number 7, Ms. Rita.
Okay, provide emergency first aid.
Provide emergency first aid. Anyone in here know CPR? Mhm. All right. So if you know it, provide it. I'm a certified CPR trainer, okay? And I encourage all of you, if you can learn CPR, learn it. Because this day and age, Mr. Joe said it's going to keep happening, so we got to be prepared. So, Mr. Joe, I thank you for saying that. Read number 8.
Call 911. Let the dispatcher know your exact location, the number of people in the room.
There we go. So call 911 and let the dispatcher know exactly where you are. Now, how many people have cell phones? Okay, just about everybody. Are your cell phones on vibrate? Yeah, I like it. Right? But you want to keep your cell phones quiet during this type of emergency because we don't want to alert anybody to where we are, right? But we want to use those cell phones. But in order to use those cell phones, what must happen? They have to be charged. So when you come to the functions, folks, please make sure your cell phones are charged, okay? Make sure they're charged. And number 9, I'm coming all the way over here to my wonderful ladies that's helping me out. Would you read number 9?
Remain in the room until law enforcement arrives.
Remain in the room until law enforcement arrives. Don't go out. Some people might say, you might be like me. I might say, I gotta pee though. I gotta pee. That's what the garbage pail over there is for. I'm just come on, just say, throw it at him, throw it at him. Just throw it at him. Miss Carol, she said, throw it at him. You got to use whatever you can if you want to survive. Just, how many people got to pee? Come on, y'all, we got to make some pee bombs. You all did the balloons when we were younger. You did the balloons, the water balloons. Just throw it on, right? That's awesome. I didn't expect that. I like that. But again, that's the element of surprise, right? So while we're waiting for 911 to come, some public places have communications in certain areas where we can contact them directly. It goes directly to the police department. We don't even have to use our cell phones. But one thing about our cell phones, where we can let people know where we are automatically, is a little kind of device within the phone, and we can turn it on and we can turn it off. Anybody know what that is? What?
Location.
What?
Location.
Location. In your phone, you have under settings where you could go and turn the location on. Okay? Turn the location on. Let's see. In the top row, location. Yeah, bam. Okay. Yep. For your phone, I just made sure I turned the location off, I turned it on. It's on. Everybody's phone is different. So if you have your phone, look at your phone now and see if you can turn your location on. Because in a case of emergency, are we gonna have time to do that? Probably not. Yeah, we're gonna go to that. We're gonna go to that. We're not gonna have time to do that. So you need to know now. Okay. Yes. Now, does anyone have a phone where you can dial 911 automatically? If you do, go ahead and set it up. No need to wait. Go ahead and set it up. And if you don't know how to do it, you can just go ahead and program 911 in your phone so that when you hit one button, it can automatically dial 911. Okay? So what I'm going to share with you next at your phone. What is an area of refuge? I want to share that with you. Does anybody know what an area of refuge is or ever heard of it? No? No. Miss Pat?
What you say? I said no.
Miss Pat said, I said no. I meant no the first time. Take that hearing aid out and turn it up. Didn't you hear it? Yes.
See a closet? A closet?
It's a good question. A closet could be a place of refuge, but you gotta be quiet. You gotta turn your phone down, put it on vibrate, or just take it off vibrate. Just make sure you don't do nothing. It could be a closet. But this is something I learned most recently that I didn't even know myself. Most hotel buildings have a room of refuge for when they have a fire. Did you know that? Well, guess what? I don't care if it's a fire or a hurricane. If an active shooter comes into that building, guess where Lotus is going? I'm going in the room of refuge. And I'm going to show you why. Go ahead, Lotus.
What is an area of refuge? An area of refuge is a place inside a building, like a hotel, that someone can go into to defend their place. Does this mean you're going to battle it out? Not unless the zombie apocalypse has happened. Defend in place means to stay safe until help can arrive. An area of refuge is a place inside a building like a hotel that someone can go into to defend in place in case of fire. It's a place where people can go when they're unable to navigate the stairs and or exits by themselves in case of fire and smoke. In case of fire, go take the elevator. But what if you're physically unable to take the stairs? You need an area of refuge inside a building. An area of refuge is a safe place designed to protect people from fire. It's a place for people to wait to be rescued by emergency personnel. If you are able to use the stairs, it is always better to evacuate the building. Where are areas of refuge located? They are usually located next to emergency exit paths in a hotel or building. They're usually located in all exit stairs for the building on all levels except for the ground floor. The ground level area of refuge is usually located off to the side, so it doesn't block exit paths. When you visit a hotel, look around and see if you can spot the area of refuge for your level. Only newer buildings have these areas of refuge. The hotel filmed here had its area of refuge right next to the elevators. It's just a regular door with a sign that has the handicap symbol right next to it. It's usually lit up, as you can see right by the elevator. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe.
Is anybody aware of that?
No, we haven't here. Is it here?
As far as I know, it isn't.
Is it what? Here.
She was asking, is it here at Shepherd? Most newer buildings, some of us, we're traveling, we're going to hotels. Oftentimes we'll say, I need to be on the ground floor. They may say, we don't have any ground floors. We're gonna have to put you on the second floor. No, by the way, we got an elevator. Okay. When you get on that second or third or fourth floor, what are you gonna look for? Area of refuge. And when you go in there, they should have a panel. And you pick that panel up, and there's a, it's almost like an annunciator panel. You pick it up, and 911 comes on. You tell them who you are and where you are, and you hang up. They already know where you're at. You stay in there, you don't open the door for nothing, for no one.
How big a room is it usually in a hotel?
It's probably about a 12 by 12 room, something like that. It's not really big. It's not too small either. Sorry.
So it has to be done every floor.
Yes, they should have them on every floor. Most of the newer hotels, newer businesses, they will have them. Now, this is another thing that the average shooter does not know, because he or she does not do this type of homework, because they're not preparing to be safe, they're preparing to hurt people. So 9 times out of 10, the next time you go into a hotel or another public building that's a newer building, I would imagine most of you are going to start looking for it. Where's the area of refuge? So that's your challenge. Find out the next time Ms. Carroll sees you in your local buildings, find out where the refuge is. You need to know that. And I challenge you, you need to make an escape plan here in this building. You're here frequently. I challenge you, make a safe plan. It's not that hard, it's very simple. What's hard is implementation, and you can do it. We saw the video where we have people, one person had, a couple of people only had one leg, but they fought back. Did they have specialized training? Yes, they did. But they went the extra mile to get the specialized training. And you can do that too if you so decide. So we know just because we have some physical challenges, we don't have to be victims. We don't have to lay down and take it. And I'm not saying go up and be like, what? I'm not saying that. Okay, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is you got to be smart about it. Because 9 times out of 10, especially like the Las Vegas shooting, that gentleman planned that out. He planned it. So whoever comes in, they've got a plan. But what they aren't planning on is you being prepared. Each and every one of you. So let's go to plan, prepare, and react. And we don't even have to play the video. What I want to do is bring up that word right on the left. Some people are already saying it. Strategy. Strategy. Anybody know what a strategy is? A plan.
It's a plan.
It's a plan. What is a strategy to you, Cheryl?
Plan. It's a plan.
What is it to you, Jack? Plan. It's a plan. You got to have a plan. Ooh, I got another word. A plan of action. A plan of action, not just a plan. She's been watching my PowerPoints. A plan of action. Plan of action to meet a specific goal. A plan of action to meet a specific goal. And that's why I'm here today, to challenge you to come up with a plan of action to meet the specific goal. And what would the specific goal be?
To be safe.
What else?
Survival.
Survival.
What else?
Escape.
Escape. To be safe, survival, and escape. I promise you, I did not tell them to say that. I didn't. But that's what they want to do. They want to survive. They want to escape. And they want to be safe. And that's why Ms. Carroll invited me here today, so I can help you to be safe. I want each and every one of you to challenge yourselves to do more than you've been doing. Be a little more vigilant, because now is the time, as we've seen most recently, things are going awry. And Joe, I gotta just tell you, I didn't expect you to say it's gonna keep going. The reality that we live in, you know? My reality is, hey, I wear a hearing aid. I might not hear the threat. So I've got to be vigilant. I've got to know where escape routes are. I got to know where safe rooms are. I got to know that I can crawl up under this desk. I got to know that I can lock some doors and hide until some help comes. Now, I probably kicked the mess out of them with my coil shoe, but if I don't don't have to put myself in harm's way, I'm not going to. So we've talked about planning, preparing, reacting. We've talked about what happened in Las Vegas. We've talked about what our mayor of Atlanta is saying. He told us that he's heightening security. But then I heard Ms. Faith say, oh yeah, you can heighten security, but I don't remember. But
I said it wouldn't have helped.
it wouldn't have helped. So we can have all the heightened security we want, but we still got to be what? Vigilant, and we got to be prepared. So before I go, I want to ask you this question. Take your pages that I've given you, the defend in place, and turn your page over. Yeah, stay right here. We've already talked about what an active shooter profile is. We know it can be anybody. They can wear shorts, they can have cute legs, nice ankles, but they can still be a shooter, right? Okay. Let me ask you something. Most of the time we think that it's men. Could
Never a girl.
he said it's never a girl, but do we have female serial killers? Yes, we do.
Several years ago, the sister of a co-worker went into the local post office and killed a number of people.
That's going postal.
And what?
That's going postal.
That's not personal, y'all. So it could be a woman. So remember that. It doesn't have to be a man. It can be a woman. Anybody can be a shooter. We've talked about the active shooter events. There's so many, too many to name. Too many to continue to cause anxiety. We identified some areas possessing 911 alarms. Now, first things first, in this building, the security number downstairs, you can pick up any phone in this hospital and dial 6000. It's going to go right to the security desk. If you have any type of emergency, it'll go right to the security desk. 6000. Just pick up the phone.
Is that only in Shepherd or?
That's in Shepherd.
But if you weren't here telling us that, how would we know?
How would you know that?
Yeah.
You wouldn't. That's why I'm challenging you to make some changes. It's okay to have a meeting wherever you have your meeting. But these shootings, Mr. Joe said, they're not going to stop. So we've got to be vigilant. We've got to start looking around for safe places. We've got to ask people, how can I get in and out of here? What is your escape plan for a fire or a terrorist attack? Don't be afraid to ask the administrators of wherever you go, what is their escape plan? Because you need to know it. When I was in the military, I was on a ship. The safe plan was, when you hear the alarm, it's an emergency, you take your booty off the ship, and that spot right there is where we're going to muster. Muster is a military term, but that's where we're going to meet. When I worked at the hospital in Japan, same process. Lock your office door and get down. If you get out the building, we're meeting over there at that designated place. Ask these places, what is your evacuation plan? You need to know. What plan do you have for someone like me who may be challenged physically, who may be hearing impaired? I'm challenged physically and I'm hearing impaired. And I have asthma. So can you imagine me trying to get out somewhere when my back is not acting right and I don't have on my beautiful coil shoes? My asthma's acting up. I can't hear. I can't move. What am I supposed to do? I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to crawl the heck on out of here. I'm getting out. It's funny, but it's true. You've got to ask places. So I'm going to challenge you. this coming week, find out the escape plan here. And then I'm gonna ask Ms. Carol to send me an email of what you found out. And then I'm gonna send you something back because I have an inside track. And I can make it real easy for you, but I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna ask you to do your homework because your life is the most important thing that's going on right here, right now. But you gotta invest in yourself. So time is ticking. Ms. Carol, can I depend on you to get that info back to me? The challenge is this week, find out from this hospital, what is their escape process for us in the event of an emergency? And you may not know this, but this hospital just did active shooter process as well, most recently. So now is a great time to find out. So that's your challenge. Can I depend on you to try? All right. Can I depend on you to try? All right. Can I depend on you? All right, Miss Nancy. Can I depend on you, Miss Rita? You got to give me a high five. That's what I'm talking about. Miss Faye. All right. Miss Belinda, I can depend on you. There we go. Can I depend on you? There we go. Mr. Jack. Mr. Jack taking copious notes. Miss Cheryl, I can depend on you. My birthday month buddy, Mr. Thaddeus, can I depend on you? You're gonna call Dr. Leslie. I know Leslie. Mr. Leslie's my buddy. Miss Charlotte, can I depend on you? I can depend on Miss Charlotte. Miss Pat, can I depend on you? All right. Can I depend on you, Miss Barbara? Can I depend on you, Mr. Joe? Can I depend on you, Miss Carol?
Absolutely.
Ladies, the awesome ladies, can I depend on you?
And can I depend on you to thank Ms. Lotus Riche for spending time and sharing this valuable information?
Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. Thank you. Yes, question.
I travel a lot. So some of the hotels are like 15 stories, some are 30 stories, some are just and so I normally like to stay on the top floor. But are you saying that I need to stay maybe closer to the first floor?
You're trying to pull me in. I got a degree in psychology. You're not trapping me in that. What I'm saying to you is this. If that's where you want to be, I'm not saying not to be there. Because I go where I want to go. Just because I don't hear very well, it's not going to stop me. So what I'm saying to you is if that's where you want to be, you be there, but be prepared in the event that something should happen.
Okay.
Make sense? Make sense? Yes.
Unless Jack wants to be an active shooter, then you want to be up as high as possible. We learned that last week. And that's the problem. We're training the people that do this stuff. I know how to make bombs now. You use a crock pot that's sealed. See, that's a good way to make a bomb. Use a pressure cooker. And little by little, we're teaching them how. You pick a big venue where there's 20,000 people at a concert. We learned how to make an automatic rifle now out of a non-automatic rifle. We told everybody, go out, buy a bump stock now. We're making it worse.
And that's very true. And it's unfortunate that we can't do anything about it because the media is putting information out there at lightning speed. So because we can't stop it, as you said several times, Joe, we got to prepare for it. So
that's our fault. We demanded media to give us things. As soon as something happens, you can't keep us sleeping in the United States. We want to know everything. As soon as anything happens, we got to know about it. Why did they tell us? We can't do anything about it, but we want to know about everything that's going on. We could shut media down if we didn't want to know so much.
Can I ask our guests if they will say your names and tell us who you are and how you heard about us before you ask your question?
Hi, I'm Pushpa Parekh, and I am a professor of English at Spelman College and director of African diaspora in the world. and I also write poetry, and I'm very interested in this organization. I've had polio from 1.5 years old in India, and I've been living in the US for 37 years. So this is an organization definitely that I want to get closer to and learn from.
How did you hear about that?
I came to Shepherd Center for my problems that I was having with post-polio syndrome, and they recommended me for physiotherapy, and that's when I came to know about APA, and I went online and got more information.
Thank you.
My name is Bharat Parekh. I work at the CDC, Centers for Disease Control, and again I'm here for about 40 years almost now. And I also got a polio, I think just about when I was less than 1 year old in India. But again, I also travel a lot, being in CDC, and I think one of the things that we were told that not to take the room more than 5th floor, partly because, and of course we have to walk down if there is any emergency, including like fire emergency. You know, there is not only shooters, but there are other emergencies can be there. So we have to walk down. That's one thing. Second thing is the fire trucks cannot reach more than 5th floor. That's what we were told. So this is one of the things to keep in mind. If you are higher, then you are on your own. To be able to even come down, they won't be able to rescue you. Something to keep in mind.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
We have 5 minutes, and we have a couple of things that we need to do, so I want to make sure that we have a chance to do that.
No, I know what you mean.
But I just want to thank this, and I thank all of you for being so engaged and active in the activities this afternoon. We have to be active when we talk about an active shooter. We have to be active also. So one more thank you to Lotus. Thank you, Ms. Harrison, ladies. We appreciate your support here. And thank you, Allison, for running back and forth to help us out. One thing I wanted to do before we all leave, I want to make sure that our guests, that you get some brochures. We give at least 10 new ones to new people so that you can share those brochures. We need to not only educate each other, but we need to educate the public out there and the medical staff. So give this to your doctors and to others, friends and families. And so we'll make sure that you get 10 brochures. Thank you, Alan, for making sure they have brochures. And I think Nancy and Faye, you both got some brochures that you can take and share. And okay, and Ms. Pat Harris is our members advocate. She has membership packets for you, and she will provide that information for you to join us and join APA and do that. Now, before you leave, you can give me like 5 minutes. I'd like you to partner off again. Partner off with whoever you are with. Yeah, yes, I do. And I want you to get out your cell phones. Be engaged. If you don't like it, you can go back and change it, okay? But this is a practice run, okay? And if you don't want to use this one, you have to promise me that when you go home, you'll do it with some family member and get this done. I want you to say why you are a part of APA and someone should give to Georgia Gives to give to APA. Now, Joe was sharing with me another thought. Sometimes people don't go through APA, they want to give their checks directly to APA. And there's a address on the brochures that you can use. Going through Georgia Gives is our major giving mechanism, and they take, I think it's 3%, 2.5%, 3% off the top. because they administer all of this for all of these organizations. And so that is really a good deal in terms of this massive fundraising effort. So you have your story in your head, look at your partner, practice a couple of times, and then I want you to film it on your own phones. Okay?
So how do you do a message or you do a text message?
Do your, go to your camera, on your phone, go to camera, and then you'll see the video. Allison is going to help. Can I ask you ladies if you'll help folks too after you do your practice run?
Next month. We have lecture next month.
On November, oh, thank you. You know what, we didn't finish talking. So I'll tell you
It's something that.
You need help with your phone?
She didn't want to do it, so.
You don't use it okay, but just.
We want to film each other or ourselves?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you film her, that's the easiest way. You film the other person.
And then I'm gonna make it when I go.
Okay, but just practice. Yes. Selfie or take, you know, like you take photos, why give to Africa? Why do you think Africa? The example that I use or if Allison was doing it, he'd say, Allison stopped and I am you today. For these reasons. What I said is that it helped me find a doctor, it helped me find a network. Right now, that kind of thing. So that's what you want to say. We're going to use this. Yes, we're going to use this on our Georgia Kids. We're going to use it on our website and on our Facebook pages. Yes. So we're just going to have people saying why they give, why people should give. And then you're going to share this with your friends. But if they see you saying why, that makes a difference. So it's really it's a message as well. Yeah, it's based on our Facebook, Apple's Facebook. Okay, that's okay. Okay, that's a very good share. Okay, what do we do with it then? You're gonna do, if you're finished, you're gonna send them to me. Send, and then the Carol, put C.A. Crumbie at gmail.com.
Would you say that? How do you say that?
C.A. Crumbie, C-R-U-M-B-Y. B-Y, Crumbie, at gmail.com.
To share, and then it'll have options.
Okay. You got a question?
She knows our next meeting. I just wanted to share what's in there.
Okay. Thank you. Our next meeting is going to be November 4th. You will have further information about elections and any vacancies that will come up in the for officers and we'll let you know that information. I'll send it out well in advance so that you know. What else do I need to share?
What is the program for next year?
Program for next time, tentatively we have it, but it's going to be on disabilities and legal issues. So we're going to have an attorney here to talk with us.
What about our Christmas party? Cheryl's here.
What's that?
Tell about our Christmas party we're having.
The Christmas party, December the 3rd, 2nd, the first Saturday in December.
11:30, Red Snapper on Cheshire Bridge Road.
And if you've been to Red Snapper before, you know the food is good. It is a wonderful place to
Will you say something about the next meeting?
Pardon?
The next meeting,
The
November
next
4th.
November 4th, always the first Saturday, unless it's a holiday or something. And then we go to the next.
And what is the topic?
Legalities and disabilities.
It's always in this.
It's always in this room.
Oh,
Yes, this is a wonderful location for us to have our meetings. We're very thankful to the Shepherd Center for this.
Did we book this room for next year?
That's the thing that Rita talked to her about, making sure we could just go now.
I would wait too long on that.
Yeah, in fact, you got it.
Shelley gotta have one.
Gotta have one.
You gotta have lock all the doors except for one.
Oh, yes. Okay, so, if there's no further business, Allison?
It's a suicide prevention.
Oh, okay. This was Lotus Riche?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. She left a copy of, she also does a lot with suicide prevention and mental health issues. So we have the information here. And I'm going to pass this around if you don't have this so that everybody can see that. Okay. And you'll see the new logos I showed you for Georgia Gives. Anything else? You've been wonderful. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful, blessed rest of the day. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.